Picture this. You're a Celtic warrior standing on an ancient battlefield. The morning mist clings to the ground like ghostly fingers. Suddenly, ravens begin circling overhead, their harsh cries piercing the air. Your blood runs cold. You know what this means. The Morrigan is here. But the real terror comes when you spot her by the river. A woman in tattered robes washes bloody armor in the flowing water. Her hands work methodically, scrubbing crimson stains from chainmail and shields. This is no ordinary washerwoman. This is the harbinger of doom herself. And if she's washing your gear, well, let's just say you might want to update that will. Meet the Morrigan, the most feared and mysterious deity in all of Celtic mythology. She could appear as a stunning beauty who'd make your heart skip a beat, a terrifying hag who'd make your heart stop entirely, or a murder of crows that would pick your bones clean. Here's the million-dollar question that kept Celtic kings awake at night. How did this enigmatic shapeshifter hold the power to crown rulers and doom entire armies? Buckle up, because this goddess makes Game of Thrones look like a children's bedtime story. The Morrigan wasn't just one goddess. She was a divine triple threat. Think of her as the ultimate supernatural multitasker, embodying three distinct aspects that covered all your warfare and fate needs. Her three primary faces were Badby the battle crow, Macha the sovereignty goddess, and Nemain the panic bringer. Each one specialized in a different flavor of divine intervention. Bab was the battlefield specialist. She'd swoop down as a crow during combat, her presence turning the tide of war. Warriors would see her black wings and know that death was about to get very busy. She didn't just watch battles. She actively participated, pecking at fallen enemies and screeching battle cries that could shatter enemy morale faster than you could say, retreat. Macha brought a different kind of power to the table. She governed sovereignty and had a special connection with horses, the Celtic equivalent of luxury sports cars. Kings needed her blessing to legitimately rule, and she wasn't easy to impress. Cross her, and your reign would be shorter than a mayfly's vacation. Nemain was pure psychological warfare. She specialized in frenzy and panic, turning brave warriors into quivering messes. Imagine facing an enemy army, feeling confident about your chances, then suddenly everyone around you starts screaming and running in circles. That's Nemain's handiwork, ancient crowd control at its finest. The Morrigan's shape-shifting abilities were legendary. One moment she'd appear as the Bean Sea, the washerwoman at the ford, calmly cleaning blood-soaked weapons. The next, she'd transform into a massive crow, her wings blotting out the sun. She could also take the form of a wolf, an eel, or even a red heifer, basically nature's deadliest game of hide-and-seek. Her unpredictable nature kept everyone on their toes. Was she helping your cause or preparing your funeral? Even the gods weren't entirely sure. She'd show up to battles and pick sides based on mysterious criteria that made about as much sense as modern tax codes. This uncertainty made her both invaluable as an ally and terrifying as an enemy. The triple aspect represented the complete cycle of war and sovereignty: birth, life, and death, creation, preservation, and destruction. The Morrigan embodied all these forces, making her one of the most complex and powerful deities in the Celtic pantheon. She wasn't just about ending lives, she was about the entire cosmic balance. What made her truly dangerous was her prophetic abilities. She didn't just participate in events, she could see how they'd unfold. This foresight, combined with her shape-shifting powers, made her the ultimate wild card in any supernatural conflict. You never knew when that innocent-looking crow overhead might actually be planning your doom. The Cu Chulainn, or the cattle raid of Cu, is where the Morrigan met her match in the legendary hero Cu Chulainn. This epic tale reads like the ultimate supernatural romance gone wrong, complete with divine rejection, shape-shifting battles, and enough drama to fuel a dozen soap operas. It all started when the Morrigan decided she fancied the young hero. She appeared to him as a beautiful woman, offering her love and military alliance. Picture the scene. Ireland's greatest warrior meets a stunning goddess who promises both romance and victory. Sounds like a win-win situation, right? Wrong. Cu Chulainn, being either incredibly noble or spectacularly stupid, rejected her advances. He was too focused on his duty to get distracted by divine romance. The Morrigan did not take this well. Hell hath no fury like a war goddess scorned, and she was about to prove it in the most creative ways possible. First, she transformed into an eel and tried to trip him while he fought at a river ford. Cu Chulainn adapted quickly, breaking her ribs with a well-placed stone. Not one to give up easily, she then became a wolf and stampeded cattle toward him. The hero responded by putting out one of her eyes with his sling. Ancient conflict resolution at its finest. Still not satisfied with her revenge, the Morrigan took the form of a red heifer and led a cattle charge against him. Cu Chulainn broke her leg this time. At this point, you'd think she'd learned her lesson about messing with Ireland's premier warrior, but the Morrigan was nothing if not persistent. Here's where the story takes an interesting turn. Despite their supernatural slugfest, there was grudging respect between them. When the Morrigan appeared later as an old woman offering him milk, Cu Chulainn blessed her 3 times. This blessing healed the wounds he'd inflicted during their battles. Talk about taking the high road. Their relationship became deeply prophetic. The Morrigan began appearing to Cu Chulainn before major battles, sometimes offering cryptic warnings, sometimes just reminding him that fate was catching up. She became his supernatural conscience, the divine voice that whispered uncomfortable truths about his destiny. The most haunting encounter came when she appeared as the washerwoman at the ford, cleaning Cu Chulainn's own armor and weapons. This vision foretold his death in the most chilling way possible. Seeing your own gear being washed by the goddess of doom? That's the Celtic equivalent of getting a calendar reminder for your own funeral. Their complex relationship showed the Morrigan's dual nature perfectly. She could be enemy and ally, destroyer and healer, all within the same story. Cu Chulainn's rejection turned her into his greatest supernatural adversary, but it also created a bond that transcended simple love or hate. The prophecies she delivered to him weren't just predictions. They were warnings wrapped in riddles. She gave him chances to change his fate, even while acknowledging that some destinies couldn't be avoided. This made their relationship both tragic and oddly touching, like a cosmic dance between hero and doom. Behind every great god, there's often an even greater goddess pulling the strings. The Morrigan's relationship with the Dagda, the father god of the Tuatha De Danann, proves this point perfectly. Their annual union wasn't just divine romance, it was cosmic maintenance of the highest order. Every Samhain, when the veil between worlds grew thin, the Morrigan and the Dagda would meet at the river Unius. Their coupling ensured fertility for the land and protection for the people. Think of it as the ultimate renewal contract between life and death, signed with divine passion instead of paperwork. This wasn't your typical boy meets girl story. The Dagda represented life force, abundance, and prosperity. Basically everything that makes existence worth living. The Morrigan embodied war, death, and transformation, all the harsh realities that keep life honest. Their union balanced these opposing forces, creating harmony from chaos. The timing of their meeting was crucial. Samhain marked the Celtic New Year, when spirits roamed freely and the future could be divined. The Morrigan would often share prophetic visions with the Dagda during their encounters, giving the gods advance warning of threats and opportunities. Talk about pillow talk with cosmic consequences. Their relationship gave the Morrigan incredible influence over divine decision-making. She wasn't just the Dagda's lover, she was his advisor, his intelligence network, and his connection to the darker aspects of existence. Through him, she could guide the policies of the Tuatha De Danann themselves. The agricultural symbolism was profound. The Dagda's cauldron could feed armies, representing endless abundance. The Morrigan's presence ensured that this abundance would be protected through warfare if necessary. Together, they embodied the complete cycle of cultivation and defense that kept Celtic society functioning. This annual union also reinforced the Morrigan's role as a sovereignty goddess. By joining with the chief god, she demonstrated that legitimate power required the blessing of both life and death forces. No ruler could truly command respect without acknowledging both aspects of existence. The Second Battle of Mag Tuired was the Super Bowl of supernatural conflicts, and the Morrigan was definitely the MVP. This epic showdown between the Tuatha De Danann and the Fomorians would determine who ruled Ireland, and our war goddess was about to prove why she was the ultimate kingmaker. Before the battle even began, the Morrigan was already working behind the scenes. She advised the gods on strategy, using her prophetic abilities to anticipate enemy moves. Her battlefield intelligence was better than any modern military satellite. She could literally see the future and plan accordingly. When the fighting started, the Morrigan didn't just observe from the sidelines. She threw herself into combat with terrifying enthusiasm. Her war cries could break enemy formations faster than a sonic boom, sending Fomorian warriors fleeing in panic. Imagine facing an army and suddenly hearing a sound that makes your bones vibrate and your courage evaporate. But her most dramatic contribution came through prophecy. As the battle raged, she delivered a stirring prediction of victory that inspired the divine army to fight harder. Her words didn't just forecast the outcome, they helped create it by boosting morale at the crucial moment. The Morrigan's appearance on the battlefield was the stuff of nightmares. She'd swoop down as a massive crow, her wings casting shadows over entire sections of the army. Enemy soldiers would look up to see death itself circling overhead, waiting to claim the fallen. This psychological warfare was as effective as any weapon. Her shape-shifting abilities proved invaluable during the chaos of combat. One moment she'd be a woman fighting with sword and spear, the next a wolf tearing through enemy ranks, then a crow pecking at the eyes of opponents. The Fomorians never knew what form their destruction would take. The victory at Mag Tuired established the Tuatha De Danann as the rightful rulers of Ireland, but it also confirmed the Morrigan's status as the ultimate arbiter of legitimate power. She had chosen the winning side through her participation, essentially crowning the new divine dynasty. After the battle, the Morrigan delivered another prophecy about the future of the land. This wasn't just a victory speech, it was a divine constitution that would guide Ireland for generations to come. Her words carried the weight of cosmic law, establishing the principles that would govern the relationship between rulers and the ruled. The battle demonstrated that military might alone wasn't enough to secure legitimate rule. You needed the Morrigan's blessing, the acknowledgement that your cause was just and your leadership worthy. Without her approval, even the strongest army was just a mob with weapons. Her role in this conflict cemented her reputation as the power behind every throne. Kings might hold the crown, but the Morrigan decided who deserved to wear it. Cross her, and your reign would be shorter than a snowball's survival in a volcano. The Morrigan didn't limit her political meddling to divine affairs. She had strong opinions about mortal rulers too, and Irish kings learned quickly that ignoring her advice was about as smart as juggling flaming swords while blindfolded. The legendary Khan of the 100 Battles discovered this firsthand when the Morrigan appeared to him in a vision. She didn't just pop up to say hello, she legitimized his rule through her divine presence. In Celtic tradition, a king wasn't truly a king until the sovereignty goddess acknowledged him. Think of it as the ultimate royal seal of approval. This concept of the sovereignty goddess was central to Celtic kingship. The land itself was personified as a goddess who would only yield her bounty to a worthy ruler. The Morrigan often served as this divine judge, testing potential kings through various trials and challenges. Some rulers learned to honor her properly and prospered as a result. They'd make offerings, consult her before major decisions, and show proper respect for her dual nature as creator and destroyer. These wise kings enjoyed long reigns, military victories, and prosperous lands. It paid to stay on the Morrigan's good side. Others weren't so smart. King Canair Mór ignored her warnings about certain taboos and ended up dead in a burning building, surrounded by enemies. His story became a cautionary tale about what happens when you dismiss divine advice. The Morrigan's warnings weren't suggestions. They were cosmic traffic laws with fatal consequences for violations. The ritual aspects of kingship often involved honoring the Morrigan directly. New rulers would make pilgrimages to sites associated with her, offer sacrifices, and seek her blessing through formal ceremonies. These weren't empty traditions. They were practical political necessities in a world where divine approval mattered more than popular votes. The Morrigan's influence extended beyond individual kings to entire dynasties. She could elevate a family to royal status or curse their bloodline for generations. Her favor was hereditary, but so was her wrath. Smart royal families kept careful records of their obligations to the war goddess. Her standards for legitimate rule were exacting. She demanded not just strength and courage, but wisdom, justice, and the ability to balance mercy with necessary harshness. A king who was too soft would lose her support as quickly as one who was needlessly cruel. The psychological impact of her approval was enormous. A king blessed by the Morrigan commanded respect not just from his subjects, but from rival rulers and supernatural forces. Her endorsement was like having the ultimate security system protecting your throne. Even when she appeared to criticize or challenge a ruler, it was often a test rather than condemnation. She'd present difficult choices or impossible situations to see how potential kings would respond. Those who showed wisdom and courage earned her lasting support. Of all the Morrigan's terrifying manifestations, none struck more fear into warrior hearts than her appearance as the washerwoman at the ford. This wasn't your friendly neighborhood laundromat worker. This was death personified, doing supernatural dry cleaning with armor that hadn't even been bloodied yet. The image was chillingly specific. A woman in tattered robes, kneeling by a river ford, methodically washing armor and weapons. The water would run red with blood that shouldn't exist yet. Warriors who spotted her knew with absolute certainty that their doom was sealed. No amount of courage, skill, or divine protection could save them now. What made these encounters so psychologically devastating was their inevitability. The Morrigan wasn't washing random gear. She was cleaning the specific armor and weapons of doomed warriors. Seeing your own chainmail being scrubbed clean of blood you hadn't shed yet, that's enough to break even the bravest heart. The legendary hero Cu Chulainn experienced this horror firsthand during his final battle. He saw the Morrigan washing his armor, spear, and chariot fittings at the ford. Despite his incredible strength and divine protection, he knew this vision meant his end was near. Even heroes aren't immune to prophetic laundry services. But the Morrigan didn't limit herself to individual warnings. She could appear before entire armies, washing the gear of hundreds of warriors simultaneously. Imagine marching to battle, feeling confident about your chances, then seeing this supernatural laundromat in full operation. Morale would plummet faster than a stone dropped from a cliff. The psychological warfare aspect was brilliant. The Morrigan didn't need to fight these warriors. She just had to show them their fate. Fear would do the rest, breaking formations and shattering courage before the first sword was drawn. She could win battles without lifting a weapon. Some warriors tried to change their fate after encountering the washerwoman. They changed their armor, take different weapons, or even flee the battlefield entirely. But Celtic fate was rarely so easily avoided. The Morrigan's prophecies were less like weather forecasts and more like cosmic court decisions, final and binding. The river ford setting was symbolically perfect. Fords were liminal spaces, boundaries between one place and another, between safety and danger. The Morrigan's presence there emphasized the transition from life to death that was about to occur. She was literally washing warriors from existence to memory. Despite her fearsome reputation as a harbinger of doom, the Morrigan was much more than just a supernatural, grim reaper. She served as Ireland's ultimate guardian, fiercely protective of the land itself and the cosmic order that kept everything functioning properly. Her association with cattle raids wasn't just about warfare. It reflected her role as protector of prosperity. Cattle represented wealth in Celtic society, and raids threatened the economic stability of entire communities. The Morrigan's involvement in these conflicts showed her commitment to maintaining proper distribution of resources. She served as a bridge between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. Her shape-shifting abilities allowed her to move freely between these realms, carrying messages and maintaining the delicate balance between life and death. Think of her as the ultimate cosmic diplomat with a very specialized portfolio. The Morrigan's connection to the otherworld gave her unique insights into justice and proper order. She could see beyond immediate circumstances to the deeper patterns that governed existence. Her judgments weren't based on simple good versus evil, but on what served the greater cosmic balance. Her frightening exterior was actually protective camouflage. Like a mother bear defending her cubs, the Morrigan's terrifying aspects served to ward off threats to Ireland itself. Her reputation for destruction was the price of peace. Enemies thought twice before challenging a land protected by such a formidable guardian. She was particularly concerned with territorial integrity and legitimate sovereignty. Invaders and usurpers faced her wrath not just because they brought war, but because they disrupted the proper relationship between ruler and land. The Morrigan took these violations personally. Her role extended to maintaining proper social order within Irish society. Kings who abused their power, warriors who fought dishonorably, or anyone who violated the sacred laws faced her correction. She was like a supernatural quality control inspector with the power to impose ultimate sanctions. The Morrigan's influence didn't end with the decline of Celtic paganism. She evolved, adapting to new times while maintaining her essential nature as a guardian of fate and sovereignty. Her legacy can be traced through Irish folklore right up to modern pop culture. She transformed into the Bean Seida, the banshee, whose wailing warned of impending death in Irish families. This wasn't exactly a career change, more like a supernatural rebranding. The washerwoman at the ford became the keening woman outside the window, but the core function remained the same: prophetic warning of doom. Medieval Irish literature kept her memory alive through epic tales and bardic poetry. Writers might have Christianized the stories, but they couldn't completely erase her compelling presence. She became a literary archetype, the powerful, mysterious woman who could elevate heroes or destroy them. Modern Celtic paganism has embraced the Morrigan enthusiastically. Contemporary practitioners see her as a goddess of empowerment, transformation, and fierce protection. She represents the strength needed to face life's battles and the wisdom to know when destruction serves renewal. Pop culture has discovered her too, from comic books to urban fantasy novels. She appears as everything from a supernatural mentor to a complex anti-hero. Her archetype, the beautiful, dangerous woman with prophetic powers, resonates across cultures and centuries. What makes her enduringly fascinating is her complexity. She can't be reduced to simple good or evil categories. She's simultaneously nurturing and destructive, wise and terrifying, loyal and unpredictable. This complexity makes her more relatable than many simpler deities. She reflects the contradictions we all carry within ourselves. The Morrigan stands unique in Celtic mythology as a goddess who defied easy categorization. She was simultaneously creator and destroyer, lover and enemy, protector and doombringer. Her stories reveal the Celtic understanding that true power isn't about simple strength. It's about the wisdom to know when to create and when to destroy. Her tales teach us that leadership comes with cosmic responsibilities. Celtic kings couldn't just rule through force, they needed the blessing of the sovereignty goddess herself. The Morrigan's complex relationship with power reminds us that authority without wisdom is just another form of chaos. And speaking of chaos, which aspect of the Morrigan fascinated you most? The shape-shifting warrior, the prophetic washerwoman, or the kingmaker supreme? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that subscribe button for more Celtic mythology deep dives, and remember, in the world of ancient gods and goddesses, it's always better to have the Phantom Queen on your side than against you.